grab your favorite drink, grab your favorite hoodie, grab your favorite blanket, get cozy, because we are about to yap about all the books that I read in August. Welcome or welcome back. If you're new, my name is Kristen and you've reached my little corner of the internet. Hi, hello. How are we doing today? We are going to talk about my August reads, all the books that I read in August. I got some stats for you. I read 9 books this month. We're just going to chat about them. Hopefully this video is not too long because I can be a yapper, especially about some of these books because you guys, I found so many 5 stars this month. I didn't find so many. 2 of them are reread 5 stars. We'll get to that. But I did find a few new 5-star reads and I am shook. So, without any further delay, let's talk about the books that I read in August. So, some quick stats for you. I read 9 books in August, 5 were romance, 2 were fantasy, 1 sci-fi, and 1 dystopian novel, and my average rating was a 4.47. 4.47, almost a 4.5 if you want to round it up. Absolutely insane. I don't know when the last time it was that high. I had so many 5-star reads this month. But yeah, that is a pretty high average rating for the month. And I didn't calculate how many pages I read this month because I was too lazy to look up how many pages each book had and then do the math. But it was a lot of pages. We had some thick books this month and I'm not mad about it. But and I'll let you know which books I listened to on audio and which ones I actually physically read. So I do have those as well. But without further ado, let's talk about all the books I read in August. So if you didn't watch my July reading wrap up, one of the books, the last book I read in July was part of a reading vlog and it was rereading my 5-star reads. And these are books that I rated 5 stars back in like 2022. So a long time ago. And the last book that I read in July was Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. And I gave that 5 stars in 2022. And it is no longer 5 stars in 2025. So, but I continued that reading vlog into the beginning of August. And so the first book that I read in August, but the second book in that reading vlog, it is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I gave this book 5 stars in 2022 or 2023, I think. And I gave it 5 stars again in 2025. In case you live under a rock, Magnolia Parks is written by Jessa Hastings. It follows a group of friends who are all really rich in London, specifically Magnolia and her love interest, BJ, and it switches between their point of views. And they're basically, it's like Gossip Girl, but in England, and it's like watching trash reality TV. Maybe that's why I like it so much. But basically, it's the most push and pull, not the most toxic relationship you've ever read, but definitely high miscommunication, high in the possibly cheating. Like, it is just a lot of no, you shouldn't do that in this book. And I read it anyway, and I gave it 5 stars. And I plan on rereading the rest of the series because I still haven't read Into the Dark. So you can yell at me all you want. I know, I can't believe it. So that's why I actually kind of started doing this reread because I want to refresh my memory before getting into the dark. So into the dark. Hello. Yeah, 5 stars again, of course, and I'd reread it a 3rd time. So, there's that. And it was actually kind of nice because I was able to go in because I wasn't a big annotator when I first read this book. Same with the next book that I'm about to talk about. And I was able to go in this with a pen and annotate it. I didn't put any tabs though because I was kind of lazy, but let's talk about the next book. The last book I read in that rereading my 5-star reading vlog was Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is the first book that I've read by them, and of course I give 5 stars again. Obviously, this book is so good. I just eat it up every time. Again, I didn't annotate this when I first read this book, and rereading it, I allowed myself to go in with a pen and annotate it up. I feel like this is just like the most ideal not rom-com, but like romance novel there is out there. It's so easy. It's so bingeable. Like, you're rooting for both of the characters. You love both of the characters. Like, it's also, it's childhood friends to lovers, but they don't talk for a really long time. So it's kind of like second chance romance-esque, and like mini long distance. So it's just like the perfect book that you just want to sit down and you're just smiling the whole way through, and it just tugs at your heartstrings. And I think Christina Lauren did a beautiful job writing this book, and I am very much looking forward to rereading it again. So yeah, 5 stars. All right. Oh, also, neither of these were obviously on my August TBR. This next book was. I only read 2 books for my August TBR this month. So the books that I did not read from my August TBR were Rich People Problems, The Summer We Ran, First Time Caller, Half Blood, and People We Meet on Vacation. I did not get to those books. Unfortunately, I had a lot of reading vlogs planned for the month of August, and I don't know why I picked so many books for my August TBR, but there is another reading vlog coming soon featuring some of these books, hopefully. But this next book was on my August TBR. It is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. You guys, you have no idea how long this book has been sitting on my TBR cart. I think ever since Haley Pham talked about it and gave it 5 stars, I immediately bought it, and I didn't read it because I was, and then I saw Destiny, she read it. She didn't love it as much as Haley. I think she was like confused the whole time, and she like didn't know what to rate it. And so I was just like, oh, like Haley loves it so much, and then I also trust Destiny's reviews as well, so it's like I didn't know whether or not I would like this book, and you don't know until you actually read it and try it. But I actually was able to get the audiobook on Libby for this, and I'm very glad I did. I think I enjoyed it that much more listening to it because I was also able to sometimes listen and read at the same time, which I think for this book is very helpful. So this follows Darrow, and he is a red in this like class system on Mars. And essentially the reds are kind of like the lowest like class you could be on Mars, and golds are the highest. And Darrow is taken to these trials disguised as a gold and basically tries to break the class system. And it's a whole series. Like this book is literally just the beginning. Like there are still so many unanswered questions. And when people say it is like Hunger Games, but in the sky, that's what I hear a lot. It really is. I could definitely see the comparisons there. So I did end up giving this a 4.25. I was definitely very hooked in the beginning of the book. It moved very, very quickly, but I think where I got a little bit stuck was in the middle. It just became a little bit repetitive and a little bit dragged on, and then the end just like wrapped right up. Not completely enough to like make me want to read the second book, which is Golden Sun, which I definitely want to do this fall and winter. So if you like the Hunger Games, I think you will enjoy this. There's a little bit more like politics and a little bit more like political scheming involved in this. I think it's not as like if you're strong then you win type of ordeal. It's definitely very tactical and very smart, and very like Darrow is very like forward thinking and like he loves planning, I think. But yeah, I think this is also my first time reading a Pierce Brown novel, so definitely enjoyed it a lot, and I can't wait to continue the series. So yeah, 4.25 for Red Rising. All right, the next book I read, which was also my August TBR, and this is the only other book that I read from my August TBR, was Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I gave this a 3.75, and honestly, if I didn't look at the back right now, I probably couldn't even tell you what it's about. What I remember is it follows 2 people. They work at NASA. They're working on some like special project together, and it is enemies to lovers. The 2 main characters have met before, I believe, in grad school, and she definitely, the main girl, what's her name? B. She found him, who is it? Levi? Yeah. See, I can't even. She found Levi like very off-putting, and immediately like I guess she cast him as kind of like an enemy because he was kind of like standoffish and a little bit rude to her, but like obviously my guy was down bad, like duh. But I really like how the story played out. Again, I don't remember too much of it. I'm glad I was able to tell you what I actually remembered right now. But yeah, that's why I think I gave it a 3.75. It's not one of like my top Ali Hazel favorites. Definitely better than Problematic Summer Romance in my opinion. Still, I think still that book is on the bottom of her rankings for sure. This is, I think, sitting right above it. I think The Love Hypothesis, Love Theoretically, then this, and then Problematic Summer Romance. Those are the 4-book Ali Hazelwood books that I read. This is definitely coming in third. It definitely had a heavier science talk in this. I think, if I remember correctly, Love Theoretically and The Love Hypothesis obviously were both STEM-based romance novels like Love on the Brain. I just feel like the science talk wasn't as heavy and confusing. I mean, it was very prominent and it was still very there in the story, but I think on Love on the Brain, it just made it almost like that's why I can't remember a lot of the romance between Levi and B. Like, there was just a lot of science and a lot of like science politics as well, which was it kind of reminded me a lot of lessons in chemistry of being a woman in STEM. So I think there wasn't as much of an even balance in here, at least for me, with the romance and the STEM aspect in this book. Still really enjoyed it. Very much like Ali Hazelwood, like it was in her voice, and I still really enjoyed her writing. So yeah, 3.75, not my favorite, but I really still enjoyed the banter and the writing in this book. All right, the next book I read, I actually listened to in its entirety. I had the audio and the ebook of The Sunrise on the Reaping on hold on Libby I had it on hold for a long time. And I was like, I will put everything to a screeching halt once it becomes available, whether it was the audiobook or the ebook. The audiobook became available first, so I listened to this book in its entirety. 5 stars. Like, obviously, if I didn't give this 5 stars, I think I would be actually crazy. If you didn't know, I mean, you have to know what this book is about, right? Like, when Suzanne announced that Haymitch was getting a book, it was like me on the frickin' pony saying the British are coming. Like, what? And it was already like greenlit for a movie, and we have the entire cast for the movie now, and I'm shook. Like, I can't believe we moved this fast, but I'm so happy about it. Just being able to learn about his story, his history, his backstory, just everything that makes Haymitch what we see in the original Hunger Games it was so heartbreaking. I was like, are you kidding me right now? And the poor boy is only 16 years old. And just all the little clues and Easter eggs and little hidden things that Suzanne put in here. It was perfect. It was amazing. She never misses. I can't, like, still after all these years, after releasing the Hunger Games, still being able to write in such a clear tone of voice, knowing that, yes, this is Suzanne Collins we're reading here. Like, yeah, I'm giving this 5 stars. Like, it is, I'm speechless. If you haven't read this book, you 100% need to, especially obviously if you're a Hunger Games fan, but like, even if you're not, like, this book, I feel like can cater to all sorts of different audiences. And I feel like the Hunger Games was able to do that originally as well. Like, I feel like so many people were able to identify and enjoy such a movie and such a franchise. So, I am very happy with Sunrise on the Reaping, and I'm very, very happy that I was able to fit this into my August reads. All right, the next book that I read was for a reading vlog. I read Larry Reads here on YouTube, her favorite reads, and the first book I read from that vlog was The Lies of Lena. I actually already had this book downloaded on my Kindle before I saw Larry talk about it, and I think I had heard a little bit about it. I think it was like romantasy novels that like you have to read next, and there were some like tropes in there that caught my attention, and I was like, yeah, for sure, I'm definitely gonna read this. And I actually ended up giving it 4 stars. I thought I was gonna give it 5, but actually reading it, I physically could not give it more than 4 stars. I'll talk about the negatives first. If you didn't watch that reading vlog, I basically just couldn't get behind the writing. It just felt a little bit juvenile, especially in the first half of the book. I just was not enjoying the writing at all. I was like, what is going on? and some of the world building just didn't really make sense to me. It takes place kind of like in a medieval setting, like with there's a king and a castle and a prince and swords and guards, and then the town just loves to eat pizza. I'm like, where did the pizza come from? And then the relationship aspect between the two main characters, I was like, I guess because the timeline of the book just moves so quickly, where you're like, you kind of get lost. You're like, wait, it's been how many months since, like, and it's the next page. Like, I don't understand where this is coming from. And then you feel like the relationship is moving very quickly because you're like turning the page and 5 months have gone by and you're like, so kind of understanding and getting behind our main couple and their relationship and their chemistry, I just wasn't buying it, especially because they were also 16 years old. So it felt that's kind of where the juvenile aspect came in. Then I thoroughly enjoyed the second half of the book, like astronomically better than the first half. Like what I feel like it was like night and day with the plot and the writing. Like suddenly it became way more high stakes, way more fast paced. Like I definitely was starting to care about the characters and the storyline. So it was like the 180 switch just completely threw me, and that's why I can't rate it more than 4 stars, because I was intrigued and I was definitely hooked on the plot. I just was like, I don't know why wasn't the first half of the book. Like, it didn't feel like that in the first half of the book. So now I'm definitely intrigued to read the second book. So, yeah, 4 stars for this. I had higher hopes, unfortunately. Okay, sorry, I had to fix the lighting really quick. The sun is setting and my window looks directly into the sun. So I needed to adjust the lighting really quick, but we're going to get into the last 3 books that I read in August. Okay, do you guys remember when I said that I love my trashy reality TV? The second book that I read for my Larry reading vlog was the Zodiac Academy, the very first book, The Awakening, and I gave it 5 stars. The plot, the writing, it's all very cliche, very basic. It's really, this book is really nothing revolutionary, but it's like you want 10 seasons of your favorite show. Like, because there's so many books in this series, like, I'm hooked. Like, it's really like watching Gossip Girl, truly. So it basically follows these 2 sisters, Darcy and Tori, and they are twin sisters, and they're 18, and they get transported from the mortal world to the Fey world and go to Zodiac Academy, and they find out they are Fey princesses. Not only are they princesses, they are heirs to the Fey throne, which is insane. So they have to attend Zodiac Academy to eventually fulfill their duties to become heirs. But there are also these 4 guys that are the current heirs to the throne, and their families are essentially now the rulers of this kingdom because Darcy and Tori's parents have passed away. So it's basically like watching Gossip Girl, but with like fantasy elements, and I'm really not mad about it because I love Gossip Girl. The writing kept me hooked enough to be entertained and want to continue the series, and I actually just finished the second book yesterday. And I've been meaning to look for an excuse to finally start this series, and I'm glad Larry's reading vlog kind of pushed me to do that, because I wanted to see what all the hype was about, because I know Larry loves this series. Like, she treasures this series, and same with the next book that I'm going to talk about. But yeah, 5 stars for Zodiac Academy. So the last book that I read in that reading vlog was Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh. I was so confused on what to rate this after I finished it, just because I feel like this book got a lot more attention than previous Chloe Walsh books. Just, you know, like, we know with Chloe Walsh, and I said this in my reading vlog, like, we are 6 books in. We know what to expect now. Like, we know the formula. And personally for me, I should have known better going into this, because I was definitely thrown with some of the contents in this book, and but it just makes that is exactly what makes a Chloe Walsh novel just so different from other sports romances, right? Because this is technically it's a sports romance, like they all play rugby. She added so many other layers to this series with these characters. It's absolutely insane. So if you didn't know, this is Huey and Lizzie's story, and I believe they are getting a second book. I don't know if that's been confirmed yet, but I mean, with what I read about this in this book, like there definitely needs to be a second book. I'd be disappointed if there wasn't. So yeah, this follows Lizzie and Huey, and with Lizzie, I definitely was struggling to like her as a character in the first 5 books, just because she always came off as kind of the rude and blunt and kind of mean, almost bully-esque type, and I guess we really never knew why. And reading this book definitely makes me sympathize with her for sure. There's no way I couldn't sympathize with her. It's just like there's so much that goes on in her life. It is just, it's crazy what she goes through. And then with Huey, I really couldn't get a good gauge on him the first 5 books. I feel like he was just there as a character and didn't really add much to scenes or conversations. So I just kind of saw him as kind of like the dad of the group. And it's crazy that I called that out, because like in this book, we just see how mature he is as a child and growing up, that he is such a gentleman, and he has somehow like set a new bar for men, even though he doesn't, like, we see them as kids in this book. Like for majority of the book, they are like 10, 11, 12. Like it is crazy how young they are. But yeah, I ended up giving this a 4.25. I just couldn't see myself giving this higher than a 4.5, just with like everything that goes on in here. It's necessary to the book, and with Chloe's writing style, it's definitely part of her formula. So it's more so just like a me thing and like my taste, not wanting to give this higher than a 4.5. So that's why I settled on a 4.25 for Releasing 10. Then the last book that I read, technically listened to in August, was Assistant to the Villain. I gave this 4 stars. I expected to like it a lot better than I actually did. This follows Evie, and she is 22 years old, and it's kind of like this medieval-esque type of town, and she is looking for employment and stumbles upon the villain and offers her employment, and she goes and becomes the assistant to the villain. It's such a cutie little rom-com. I think my only gripe with the book a little bit was the writing and just a hair. It just felt a little bit flat and kind of annoying, especially with Evie's character. I wasn't clicking with her for like the first half of the book. I think I found her kind of like cringy funny. Like she would make these like weird jokes in the middle of conversations and they just wouldn't hit, I guess. But overall, it was a very light and easy read. I definitely would consider this book like a palate cleanser, and it does have like a little bit of a mystery aspect to it as well that like kind of kept me going through the book. So not only was like the tension between the villain and Evie, it was good, but like I really liked the mystery plot aspect of it as well. So it's definitely different than other rom-coms that are out there. I think I'm definitely hooked to read the next book. I'm actually going to put it on my fall TBR. I think it's Accomplice to the Villain. Yeah, the next book is Apprentice to the Villain. So I'm definitely intrigued to read that sometime this fall. It was good. 4 stars feels fair. I guess also like the slow burn aspect helped as well. Like it is very slow burn. So if you like slow burn kind of tension-y romances, then like I feel like this is a good one to pick up because it's definitely different than other typical rom-coms, because this has like a more like fantasy element to it with there being a villain against like a kingdom. And then like Evie they have like these little cute names for things like cauldron brew. So it's like a cute little like, I feel like a fall vibe romance. So yeah, I feel like 4 stars is fair for that. But yeah, those are all the books that I read in August, all 9 of them. I had a great time this month. Found some good 5 stars with Zodiac Academy and Sunrise on the Reaping. So I'm very happy that this second half of the year is looking really good for some higher rated readings. I'm really hopeful about this second half of the year. Looks like we're getting on a good pace to find some like 5-star reads in the second half of the year. The first half was very bleak in the 5 stars. I think I only had like 2. Now we're picking up the pace. I knew the second half of the year was going to be really good because this is my favorite time of the year. If you didn't know, my birthday is October 4th. So like I love this time of the year. I love fall. we're getting cozy, we're getting our fantasies out. I think that's where my 5 stars are hitting at the moment and not in the rom-coms, which is crazy. But that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, make sure to give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please be sure to subscribe. 64% of my viewers are not subscribed. I see you. You should do it. The links to all my social media are down below, including my Goodreads and Fable. If you want to friend request me on Goodreads, I will accept your friend request on there. And if you want to follow me on Fable, I will follow you back on Fable. Leave a comment of your favorite book that you read in August. I would love to know. Always adding books to my TBR cart. It's currently full again. But that is all I have for you today. And as always, I hope to see you guys in another video soon. All right. Bye.